Grand Admiral Vextera stood before the Zwiarkath High Council, her iridescent scales shimmering under the crystalline chamber's purple light. The massive holographic display behind her showed a blue-green planet spinning slowly in space, Earth. Her four-fingered hand gestured gracefully through the projection, highlighting various population centers across the globe. Esteemed council members, our surveillance drones have completed their 20-cycle observation of this primitive world, she announced, her voice resonating through the chamber. The humans remain delightfully oblivious to our presence, still fighting their petty wars over resources and ideology. The council chamber, carved from living crystal deep within the Zwiarkath capital ship Eternal Dawn, hummed with anticipation. 12 ancient beings, their bodies enhanced with biotechnology accumulated over millennia of conquest, leaned forward in their hovering thrones. High Counselor Mirden, his cybernetic eyes glowing with interest, spoke first. And their children? Are they suitable for the enhancement program? Vextera's mandibles clicked in satisfaction as she brought up detailed genetic scans. Perfect candidates, my lords. Their neural plasticity is remarkable, far beyond what we've seen in other species. Their genetic structure is surprisingly adaptable, ideal for our improvements. The display shifted to show human children playing in parks, attending schools, sleeping in their beds, all blissfully unaware of the alien eyes watching them. Their young ones possess potential that their primitive society wastes. Under our guidance, they could become the greatest additions to our empire since the Crystalline Wars. Their defenses, another council member inquired, cybernetic tendrils writhing with curiosity. Vextera almost laughed. Primitive radio detection systems. Chemical rockets. Nuclear weapons that would barely scratch our smallest scout ships. They waste resources on entertainment and leisure while their space program barely reaches their own moon. She brought up footage of human military exercises. They still use projectile weapons and combustion engines. Their most advanced aircraft would be considered primitive by our museum curators. Their orbital satellites might as well be children's toys. The council chamber filled with amused chittering. These ancient conquerors had seen countless civilizations fall before them. Humans would be no different. How many subjects do you recommend for harvest? Mirden asked, already calculating resources in his augmented mind. Vextera's scales rippled with pride as she displayed her plan. Phase 1, 5,000 subjects between ages 6 and 12 Earth cycles. Young enough to be properly conditioned, old enough to survive the enhancement process. We'll take them from major population centers across their globe. By the time they realize what's happened, we'll be beyond their reach. The council members shared approving glances. They had performed similar harvests on dozens of worlds. Each time, the primitive species could only watch helplessly as their children were taken to serve a greater purpose. Your strategy for the extraction? Mirden pressed. 3 waves, using our latest stealth technology. Our ships will appear as nothing more than atmospheric anomalies. Quantum stasis fields will ensure the subjects sleep through the entire process. Parents will simply find empty beds in the morning. She displayed the projected extraction points: New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing, and dozens more cities. Local authorities will waste time believing these are domestic kidnapping cases. By the time they realize the global scale, it will be far too late. And if they resist? A younger council member asked, earning disapproving looks from their elders. The question was almost insulting. Vextera's expression hardened. They won't have the chance. But if by some miracle they detect us? She gestured, and the hologram showed one of their smaller warships. A single destroyer could handle their entire combined military force. We'll have a battle fleet standing by, though it won't be needed. High Counselor Mirden rose from his throne, his ancient frame augmented by crystalline technology that pulsed with power. You have the Council's approval, Grand Admiral. Begin preparations immediately. These humans will provide excellent additions to our enhancement program once they're properly civilized. As Vextera left the chamber, she felt only satisfaction. Another primitive species to harvest, another victory for the Empire. The humans wouldn't even understand what was happening until their children were already being transformed into proper servants of the Ziwar-Kath. What never occurred to her, what never occurred to any of them, was that they weren't the first advanced civilization to discover Earth. They hadn't wondered why no other spacefaring race had claimed such a seemingly defenseless prize. They never asked themselves why their long-range scans couldn't penetrate certain mountains, or why some of their surveillance drones occasionally disappeared without explanation. The Ziwar-Kath Empire was about to learn a costly lesson about underestimating humanity. But by the time they realized their mistake, it would be far, far too late. The eternal dawn emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, its crystalline hull absorbing all light that touched it. Hundreds of smaller ships swarmed around the massive vessel like predatory fish, their stealth systems making them nearly invisible even to advanced sensors. Grand Admiral Vextera watched Earth grow larger on the command deck's main display. "Begin deployment sequence," she ordered, her voice cool and professional. "Activate quantum dampening fields. I want this planet deaf and blind to our presence." Below her, on the operations deck, thousands of Ziwar-Kath crew members coordinated the most ambitious harvest operation in recent memory. Extraction pods, each capable of carrying 20 human children, were being loaded into launch tubes. First wave targeting Eastern Hemisphere population centers, reported Commander Relentless, his cybernetic implants streaming data directly to the tactical display. Stealth systems at maximum efficiency. Human detection systems are registering only minor atmospheric disturbances. The first wave of pods descended through Earth's atmosphere, their quantum shields dispersing any heat signature. They moved like ghosts through the night sky over Tokyo, Beijing, Seoul, and Sydney. Streets and buildings below remained quiet, unaware of the predators above. Inside each pod, Ziwar-Kath operators used advanced scanning technology to identify optimal targets. Children sleeping peacefully in their beds, exactly the right age for the enhancement program. The quantum stasis fields reached through walls and windows like invisible hands. First wave extraction beginning, Relentless announced. 300 targets acquired in Tokyo. 240 in Beijing. Collection proceeding according to schedule. Vextera allowed herself a small smile. The operation was proceeding exactly as planned. These humans, with their primitive technology, couldn't even detect the ships hovering above their cities. But in a deep underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, alarms were already sounding. General Sarah Chen stared at the quantum detection grid, watching as hundreds of alien signatures appeared in Earth's atmosphere. Behind her, the Global Defense Council's command center erupted into controlled activity. "All monitoring stations confirm multiple bogeys," reported Colonel James Rodriguez, his fingers dancing across holographic controls that would have shocked the Ziwar-Kath with their sophistication. "They're targeting residential areas, just as we predicted." Chen's expression hardened. "How many children have been taken?" "Nearly 1,000 already, ma'am. They're moving exactly according to the profile our xenopsychologists developed." Arrogant, methodical, completely convinced of their technological superiority. "Inject the tracking nanites?" Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. They'd been preparing for this moment for decades. "Every child in the target age range has been inoculated, General. The nanites are microscopically broadcasting their locations. The alien vessels can't detect the quantum entanglement signals." Chen nodded, watching as more alien ships appeared over North American cities. "And the children themselves?" "All received their conditioning through the education program, ma'am. They know exactly what to do once they're aboard the alien vessels. Operation Trojan Horse is proceeding exactly as planned." Above them, the Ziwar-Kath continued their harvest, completely unaware that every child they took was a carefully prepared asset. Years of subtle training disguised as games and educational programs. Nanite trackers hidden in routine vaccinations. A global military force that had hidden its true capabilities behind a facade of primitive technology and political division. Second wave deployment complete, Relentless reported aboard the Eternal Dawn. Western Hemisphere targets acquired. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles collections proceeding optimally. Vextera watched the operation unfold with growing satisfaction. Already, 3,000 children were in stasis, being transferred to the main ship's enhancement facilities. Not a single human defense system had detected them. No military response. Not even a heightened alert status. "Begin final wave," she ordered. "Let's complete this harvest and return to Empire space." The enhancement program's administrators are eager to begin their work. But in orbit around Saturn, hidden behind the planet's rings, the Earth Defense Fleet waited. Ships that combined reverse-engineered alien technology with human innovation powered up their engines. Quantum computers more advanced than anything the Zyarkath possessed calculated battle plans. Admiral David Williams, whose own daughter was among the taken children, received the signal he'd been waiting for. "All ships, prepare for combat operations. The enemy has committed fully to the trap. Remember your training. Remember why we fight. Humanity strikes back in 30 minutes." The Zyarkath Empire was about to learn that humanity had been playing a very, very long game. Their children weren't victims. They were the tip of the spear in humanity's first interstellar war. And every single one of them knew exactly what role they had to play. Deep within Eternal Dawn's enhancement facility, Dr. Zyarkath studied the first batch of human children with growing unease. Something wasn't right. The subjects lay perfectly still in their stasis chambers, but their brain activity patterns were unlike anything she'd seen in previous harvests. "Administrator," one of her assistants called out, mandibles clicking nervously. "You need to see these neural scans." The holographic display showed thousands of tiny patterns, synchronized across all subjects. Not the chaotic fear responses they usually saw in harvested species. Not the confusion or trauma they expected. Instead, there was purpose. "Impossible," Zyarkath whispered, her scales darkening with concern. "These patterns indicate coordinated cognitive activity, but they're in stasis fields." Above them, in the command center, Grand Admiral Vextera was celebrating their success. "Final count confirms 5,000 subjects secured," she announced to the Council via quantum transmission. The humans never detected a thing. Their primitive sensors. "Admiral," Commander Raltek's voice cut through her report. "We're detecting multiple quantum signatures emerging from behind the system's gas giant." Vextera's celebration died in her throat as the tactical display filled with hundreds of contact signatures. Ships were appearing from behind Saturn, their design unlike anything in the Empire's database. They moved with impossible precision, their hulls covered in a material that seemed to drink in light itself. "Impossible," she breathed, echoing Zyarkath's words far below. "Their technology level, they shouldn't have." "Incoming transmission," her communications officer announced, voice shaking. It's being broadcast on our secure frequencies." Admiral David Williams's face appeared on the command deck's main screen. He wore a uniform that bore no resemblance to the primitive military gear the Zyarkath had observed on Earth. Behind him, a bridge crew operated controls that looked disturbingly advanced. "This is the Earth Defense Fleet to Zyarkath vessel Eternal Dawn," Williams spoke in perfect Imperial standard. "You have taken our children. We've let you do this because it served our purposes. That ends now." In the enhancement facility, alarms began blaring. The stasis fields were failing, but not due to malfunction. The children were somehow interfacing with the ship's systems, their neural patterns synchronized with the quantum processors that controlled life support, weapons, and propulsion. "How?" Vextera demanded, her professional demeanor cracking. "How do you know our language? Our ship's name?" Williams smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "We've been watching you watch us, Admiral. For decades. Every piece of technology you left in orbit, every stealth probe you thought was undetectable, we recovered them all. Studied them. Improved them." On the tactical display, the Earth fleet split into attack formations with practiced ease. Their weapons systems charged, revealing energy signatures that matched or exceeded the Eternal Dawn's capabilities. "Did you really think," Williams continued, "that a species that went from horse-drawn carriages to moon landings in 60 years would be stuck with chemical rockets forever? That a people who split the atom less than a century after discovering electricity would never notice your surveillance?" Below decks, The first stasis pods began opening. Children stepped out, moving with purpose, their hands finding control panels and interface points with practiced ease. They'd trained for this moment in virtual simulations for years, learning the exact layout of ZYR-Cath ships through data gleaned from captured technology. The children, Vextera realized, horror dawning in her voice. You knew we were coming. You prepared them. Every child you took was chosen, Williams confirmed. Sons and daughters of our best military officers, engineers, and scientists. Trained from birth for this moment. Your arrogance made you predictable. In the engineering sections, reactor warnings began screaming as children interfaced with control systems, their neural patterns bypassing security protocols that never expected an attack from within. The ship's quantum field generators began to fluctuate as carefully planted programs, carried in the children's neural implants, infected the Eternal Dawn's computer core. You could have approached us peacefully, Williams said, his voice hardening. Could have offered cultural exchange, technological cooperation. Instead, you tried to steal our children. Humanity has been peaceful, Admiral, but make no mistake, we remember our history. We remember every empire that thought superior technology meant superior right. The Earth fleet closed in, their formation cutting off any escape route. Inside the Eternal Dawn, chaos erupted as more and more systems fell to the synchronized assault of 5,000 children, each one a precision weapon aimed at the heart of ZYR-Cath arrogance. This is humanity's formal introduction to the galactic community, Williams declared. We suggest you consider your next actions very carefully. Vextera stood frozen on her command deck, watching as her mighty harvest ship was systematically compromised from within while an impossibly advanced human fleet held them at gunpoint. In one devastating moment, she realized the ZYR-Cath Empire hadn't been conducting a harvest. They'd been walking into a trap, and they'd brought themselves right to the heart of it. Grand Admiral Vextera watched in horror as her command screens flickered and died one by one. Throughout the massive Eternal Dawn, 5,000 children, each one a precisely positioned weapon, executed their carefully planned assault. Her mighty harvest ship, pride of the ZYR-Cath Empire, was being dismantled from within by the very primitives she'd so gravely underestimated. Security teams report they can't reach the engineering sections, Commander Raltek reported, his cybernetic implants sparking as they tried to interface with compromised systems. The humans, the children, they're using our own quantum field technology against us. They're redirecting security forces through spatial loops within the ship. The tactical display, one of the few systems still responding, showed the Earth defense fleet moving into an attack formation that could only be described as elegant. Their ships flowed like water, taking positions that blocked every possible escape vector. Launch the fighter squadrons, Vextera ordered, her voice cracking with desperation. Fighter bay doors aren't responding, Raltek replied. Admiral, they're singing. What? Through the ship's internal sensors, they could hear it. Thousands of young voices raised in perfect harmony, singing what seemed to be simple children's songs. But hidden within the frequencies were command codes, viral programs that spread through the ship's quantum processors like wildfire. On the main screen, Admiral Williams watched the chaos with grim satisfaction. You should know, he said conversationally, that every child aboard your ship is the product of Project Starchild. From the moment we detected your first probe, we began preparing. Those children have spent their entire lives training in simulated versions of your ship. Impossible, Vextera hissed. Our designs are secret. Our technology is based on crystalline quantum computing, Williams interrupted. We recovered enough samples from your probes to understand your basic architecture. The children are interfacing directly with your systems through neural links we adapted from your own technology. As we speak, they're transmitting the complete technical specifications of your vessel to our fleet. In the enhancement facility, Dr. ZYNRA watched in amazement as children accessed control panels with practiced ease, their small fingers dancing across alien interfaces as if they'd been born to it. Their neural patterns remained synchronized, creating a collective consciousness that overwhelmed the ship's security protocols. Main reactor going into containment lockdown, Relentless announced. Weapons systems are offline. Hull integrity fields they're being reconfigured at the quantum level. More Earth ships emerged from hyperspace, their arrival creating patterns of distortion that the Zwirecath sensors had never encountered before. These vessels were smaller, sleeker, designed for speed and maneuverability. Did you think, Williams continued, that we wouldn't notice your interest in our children? That we wouldn't prepare for the possibility of alien abduction? Humanity has been imagining this scenario for centuries. We've made thousands of movies about it, written countless books. In trying to steal our children, you've given us exactly what we needed: direct access to your most advanced technology. The Eternal Dawn shuddered as internal systems began powering down. Throughout the ship, security teams found themselves trapped by quantum field barriers, their weapons disabled by commands coming through their own neural interfaces. Admiral, Relentless whispered, "We're detecting similar quantum signatures from Earth. They're not coming from military bases or secret facilities. They're coming from schools, playgrounds, ordinary homes." Understanding dawned on Vextera's face. "Your entire civilization has been preparing for this moment," Williams confirmed. "Every child on Earth receives training disguised as games, education, and entertainment. The ones you took are simply the ones we chose to let you take. The tip of the spear, you might say." In Earth orbit, more ships appeared, vessels that had been hidden beneath the oceans, inside hollow mountains, behind quantum camouflage fields that the Zwirecath had never thought to look for. Humanity had built an armada in plain sight, all while maintaining the illusion of a primitive civilization obsessed with social media and reality television. "Your empire isn't the first to discover Earth," Williams revealed. "You're just the first to be arrogant enough to try taking our children. Others came in peace. They trade with us now. Help us advance. Those who came with conquest in mind, well, you're about to join a rather exclusive club of civilizations who learned the hard way not to underestimate humanity." The Eternal Dawn's engines died completely, leaving the massive vessel dead in space. Through the ship's corridors, the sound of children's songs continued, carrying coded messages that systematically dismantled every system the Zwirecath had thought impregnable. They had come to harvest humanity's children. Instead, they had delivered themselves into humanity's hands, their mighty empire about to learn a lesson that would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. The Zwirecath High Council materialized on the Eternal Dawn's command deck through emergency quantum transmission, their holographic forms flickering with barely contained rage and disbelief. High Counselor Myrdin's cybernetic eyes blazed as he surveyed the chaos unfolding aboard their flagship. "What is the meaning of this, Admiral?" he demanded. "How have mere primitives?" A new voice cut through the command deck, young and clear. "We are not primitive. We were never primitive." A small human girl, no more than 8 Earth years old, stepped onto the command deck. Behind her, dozens more children emerged from quantum field corridors that shouldn't have existed. Each child wore what looked like ordinary Earth clothing, but subtle patterns in the fabric pulsed with energy signatures that matched the ship's crystalline technology. "Emma," Admiral Williams' voice carried pride as he addressed the girl from the main screen. "Status report?" "The Eternal Dawn is fully under our control, Father," she responded, her voice carrying the authority of someone far beyond her years. "All critical systems have been reconfigured. The quantum core is responding to our collective interface." Myrdin's hologram turned to Vextera in fury. "What is this? How can a child—" "She's not just a child," Williams interrupted. "She's my daughter. A quantum physicist's understanding coded into neural pathways from birth. Every child aboard your ship is the product of generations of preparation. We took your technology, improved it, and built it into their very DNA." Throughout the ship, more children emerged from hiding. They moved with purpose, their movements synchronized, their minds linked through quantum entanglement networks that the Zwirecath had never imagined possible. The ship's crystalline surfaces resonated with their presence, responding to commands woven into lullabies and playground rhymes. "Your empire's greatest mistake," Emma continued, looking directly at the council, "was assuming that because we played with toys, we were playing mindlessly. Every game was training. Every song contained quantum algorithms. Every childhood story held encrypted battle plans. In space around the eternal dawn, the Earth fleet's true nature became apparent. Their hulls began shifting, revealing weapon systems that merged human innovation with technologies gathered from a dozen alien civilizations. Ships that had appeared to be simple destroyers transformed into platforms of devastating power. Humanity has never been alone, Admiral Williams declared. We've had allies among the stars for longer than your empire has existed. Civilizations that chose cooperation over conquest. They taught us, helped us prepare, all while we maintained the illusion of isolation and technological infancy. Through the quantum network that now connected the entire ship, images flowed. Secret cities beneath Earth's oceans. Training facilities inside hollow mountains. Orbital platforms hidden in plain sight, disguised as space debris. An entire civilization that had mastered the art of appearing primitive while advancing far beyond their would-be conquerors. The children you took, Emma said, her young voice carrying centuries of human determination, were chosen because we are the children of Earth's defenders. We were born to this purpose. Trained for this moment. While you watched our parents play at war with primitive weapons, we were learning to dismantle ships like this one with nothing but our minds and the quantum links you so thoughtfully provided. More Earth ships emerged from hyperspace, each commanded by parents whose children were aboard the Eternal Dawn. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, all had volunteered their children for humanity's most ambitious defense plan. Your empire isn't the first to underestimate us, Williams continued. But you will be the last. Right now, quantum signals are broadcasting your ship's technical specifications to every human defense installation. Your weapons, your drives, your precious quantum technology, it's all being analyzed, improved upon, and repurposed. The High Council watched in horror as their mighty Harvest ship, designed to take human children for their enhancement program, instead became the instrument of humanity's ascension to the galactic stage. Emma raised her hand, and with a gesture that seemed almost casual, every quantum system on the Eternal Dawn responded to her command. You wanted to enhance us, she said, her smile containing wisdom far beyond her years. But we were already enhanced. We just waited for you to give us the perfect opportunity to prove it. The trap had sprung perfectly. The hunters had become the prey. And in the silence of space, the children's songs continued, carrying humanity's message to the stars. Never again would anyone dare to threaten Earth's children. 1 month after the Eternal Dawn incident, representatives from 100 alien civilizations gathered in Earth's first public extraterrestrial embassy, a magnificent structure that had been hidden beneath the ice of Antarctica for decades. The Zywirkath High Council, no longer appearing as intimidating holograms but present in person, faced humanity's combined leadership. Grand Admiral Vextera stood before the assembly, her once proud scales dulled with the shame of defeat. Behind her, the massive viewing window showed dozens of former Zywirkath Harvest ships, now transformed by human engineering into something entirely new. Their crystalline hulls pulsed with harmonics that matched the songs still echoing through their quantum cores, the songs of Earth's children. The terms of surrender are simple, Admiral Williams announced, standing with his daughter Emma beside him. The Zywirkath Empire will immediately cease all harvesting operations across the galaxy. Your enhancement program ends today. High Counselor Myrdin, his cybernetic implants now looking primitive compared to the subtle but powerful technology worn by the human delegates, bowed his ancient head. We understand. But there is one thing we still don't comprehend. Why maintain the deception for so long? Why allow us to believe we had superior technology? Emma stepped forward, and when she spoke, her voice carried the weight of humanity's long preparation. Because arrogance is the greatest weakness of any advanced civilization. You saw what you expected to see, a primitive species obsessed with entertainment and internal conflicts. You never asked why our space debris contained quantum computers. You never wondered why our children's games involved complex spatial mathematics. The assembly watched as holographic displays showed the true Earth, vast underground cities, orbital shipyards hidden in asteroid fields, training facilities disguised as ordinary schools. Every playground on Earth contained equipment that doubled as neural interface training devices. Every children's television show carried encrypted lessons in advanced physics and xenobiology. Humanity learned long ago, Williams continued, that true strength lies not in showing power, but in knowing when to reveal it. Our first alien contacts, centuries ago, taught us that the galaxy was filled with both friends and predators. We chose to appear weak while building our strength, to seem divided while fostering unity, to look backward while leaping forward. Through the quantum network that now connected the assembly hall, memories flowed from the children who had been taken. Their years of preparation, disguised as normal childhood activities. The games that were really combat simulations. The songs that contained quantum encryption keys. A whole generation raised to be humanity's hidden guardians. Your mistake, Emma addressed the Z-Wirecath, wasn't in finding Earth. It wasn't even in wanting to enhance our species. Your mistake was believing that any civilization advanced enough to split the atom would stop advancing just because they appeared to. Humanity never stopped reaching for the stars, we just learned to do it quietly. The assembly erupted in discussion as representatives from other civilizations realized the implications. Humanity hadn't just defeated the Z-Wirecath, they had revolutionized quantum technology, developed neural interfaces that surpassed anything known in the galaxy, and raised an entire generation of children who could interface directly with advanced alien systems. We offer you a choice, Williams announced to the Z-Wirecath delegation. Return to your empire in disgrace, bearing the knowledge that your greatest military defeat came at the hands of those you considered primitive. Or, he paused, allowing hope to enter his voice, join us. Learn what humanity has actually achieved. Help us build something greater than conquest. Vexterra looked at the human children who had so thoroughly outmaneuvered her mighty empire. They stood proudly alongside their parents, their ordinary appearances masking capabilities that had humbled an interstellar civilization. In their eyes, she saw not victory or arrogance, but invitation. The galaxy is changing, Emma declared, her young voice carrying the wisdom of humanity's long game. The age of empires and harvests is over. We invite all species to join us in building a future based not on dominance, but on understanding. Not on conquest, but on cooperation. As the assembly concluded, the children of Earth led the alien delegates on a tour of their true civilization. In orbit, the transformed harvest ships pulsed with new energy, their quantum cores singing with human innovation. The Z-Wirecath Empire had come to Earth expecting to find primitives worthy only of harvest. Instead, they had discovered that humanity's greatest strength lay not in their technology, but in their ability to turn an enemy's arrogance into their own victory. The lesson echoed across the galaxy: never underestimate a species that turns their children's games into a shield for their civilization. Never assume that silence means weakness. And never ever threaten the children of Earth.